A long, long time ago, before cities and roads, before even the first farms and houses, there was a beautiful garden called Eden. It was a lush, green place, filled with vibrant flowers, towering trees, and sparkling streams that sang as they flowed. In the center of this garden, the sun always shone just right, and the air was warm and fresh. It was paradise. In this garden lived the very first humans, Adam and Eve. Adam was the first man, created by God from the dust of the earth. He was strong and kind, with a heart full of curiosity. Eve was the first woman, made from one of Adam's ribs. She was gentle and wise, with a smile that could light up even the darkest corners of the garden. Together, they were happy, living in perfect harmony with the world around them. God had given them everything they could ever need in Eden. The trees were heavy with fruit, the animals were friendly, and there was no pain or sorrow. Adam and Eve could walk together through the garden, talking with each other and with the animals, who were all at peace. They had everything, and life was full of joy. One day, as Adam and Eve were strolling through the garden, they came across a magnificent tree. It was unlike any other tree in Eden, with shining golden fruit hanging from its branches. The tree was special. God had told them that it was the tree of knowledge. And while everything in the garden was theirs to enjoy, this tree was different. God had said, "You may eat from any tree in the garden, except for this one. If you eat its fruit, you will know things you were not meant to know." Now, this tree was very tempting. Eve, one day, noticed that the fruit on the tree looked even more beautiful than any fruit she had ever seen. It seemed to glow with an inviting light. She looked over at Adam, who was nearby, and saw that he was lost in thought. She wondered, what would it be like to eat the fruit? Her curiosity grew, and a small voice inside whispered that maybe just a bite wouldn't hurt. Eve reached out and picked one of the fruit. It was smooth and cool in her hand. The voice inside urged her to try it, promising that she would become wise and learn so many wonderful things. She took a deep breath, closed her eyes, and took a bite. As soon as she did, something changed. She felt different, aware of things she hadn't noticed before. The world seemed bigger, and yet, in some way, more complicated. She quickly realized that she didn't feel quite as peaceful as she had before. Then, she saw Adam, still sitting under the tree, looking at her. Without thinking, she handed him the fruit, saying, "Adam, you have to try this. It's amazing. It's like we can see everything now." Adam, not sure what to think, took the fruit from her hand. What harm could there be in just one bite, he thought. So, he took a bite as well. Immediately, he too felt the change. The world seemed brighter, but also a little more overwhelming. He looked at Eve, and for the first time, he noticed something strange. They were both aware of their own selves in a way they hadn't been before. They felt a little embarrassed. Suddenly, they realized that they were naked, and they felt shy about it. They hurriedly tried to cover themselves with leaves. At that moment, they heard a sound. Footsteps. It was God, walking in the garden as he often did. Adam and Eve, feeling ashamed for the first time, hid behind some bushes. "Where are you?" God called gently, as though he already knew where they were hiding. Adam's voice trembled as he replied, "We heard you in the garden, and we were afraid because we were naked, so we hid." God's heart was full of love, but also sadness. "Who told you that you were naked?" he asked. "Have you eaten from the tree I told you not to eat from?" Adam, not wanting to get into trouble, glanced at Eve and said, "It was Eve. She gave me the fruit, and I ate it. Eve, a bit shy now, looked at God and said, "The serpent tricked me. I didn't know what I was doing." God sighed, for he knew that Adam and Eve had made a choice, one that would change everything. He loved them both dearly, but they had learned about good and evil. And with that knowledge came the responsibility of choices. Even though Adam and Eve had disobeyed, God did not leave them without hope. He told them that life would now be different. They would have to work hard for food, and they would experience pain and difficulty in their lives. But God also promised that one day someone would come to make things right again. Adam and Eve left the beautiful garden and began their new life outside Eden. It was not the paradise they had once known, but they still had each other. And though the world was now more challenging, they were never alone. They learned to work together, love each other, and care for the world around them. As they walked away from the garden, hand in hand, they remembered the beauty of Eden and the lessons they had learned. And though they could,